welcome back to my channel. I'm Sarah. This is Brown Family Goods. Today, I got my peppers all lined up. So we are gonna make some pepper jelly today. I'm gonna show you how I make my pepper jelly, but I'm also gonna share with you a few other ideas that you can make up very easily and give to your friends and family as well. So I hope that you'll find something that you love, and let's jump right into the pepper jelly recipe. Okay, well, first things first, with these peppers, we got to get them all cut up. That way we can put them through the food processor and break them down even further. You probably saw I went ahead and washed these in the sink. I just put a little bit of vinegar, white vinegar, in water. Gave them a quick rinse, that way everything was nice and clean. So I have 3 different varieties of peppers here. Obviously I have bell peppers of all the colors. I have some pretty good sized jalapenos here. These are big ones. And then I also got, because I know that this person wants their pepper jelly to be hot, I got some serrano peppers as well. So we're going to use all of those to accomplish the pepper jelly today. So I'm hoping to make 4 batches is probably what I'm going to need for the amount of jars that I have, which is 2 cases, basically 24 jars. Yeah, 24 jars. I'm like, how many is it? So I'm making these for a friend of mine who wants to give these as Christmas presents. So she asked me if I would make it for her. I used to make pepper jelly for the farmer's market, and then one year, I'll have to show you, insert some pictures here. One year I also made this humongous order for a local business. They wanted to have pepper jelly for all of their salesmen, not just pepper jelly, but also cowboy candy for all of their salesmen to give out around the holiday season. So I ended up making stacks and stacks of pepper jelly and cowboy candy. Then what was really interesting about that was that most of the pepper jelly that I made, because I was trying to do these really big batches, it didn't gel. It didn't gel. So it didn't set up in the jars the first time that I processed it. Ended up having to go back through and re-boil all of the pepper jelly that I made for that big thing. It was such a nightmare. But it did gel finally. I had to add more pectin and all that stuff. I learned a lot from that. And that is that you better make sure that it is to the proper gel state before you can it. Don't just hope for the best. So I'll show you exactly how to make sure that you're going to have gelled pepper jelly. I'm going to just carry on with cutting all of these up. I am going to keep separate the jalapenos and serranos because those we measure out separately from the bell peppers. So I'm going to keep going on this. I'll come back to you when I have all of these cut up, and then we'll start to process them through the food processor. Time to process through these peppers. This is kind of up to you. You can either process them all basically together and mix all the colors together. That's what I'm gonna do. Or you can do them separately and add, 1 1/4 cups of this, 1 1/4 cups of this, that type of thing. I'm not gonna worry about that. I'm just gonna put everybody in and process them together, basically. Ultimately mix them together. So I'm just gonna start with the green ones. Now what I do have here is a couple of bowls. I have here a couple of bowls behind me, and I have a mesh strainer on this one, and then my other colander on this one. That way we can dump the peppers in and start to let them drain a little bit. The more liquid you have in the peppers when you add them into the pot, the more you have to cook it down so that it will thicken and then ultimately gel properly. So just have to, if you can drain them on the front end like I'm gonna do, that's a good way to go. So I'm just gonna pulse these through. I put in maybe half of the green bell peppers that I have there, and we'll just start with them. All right, these I'm gonna pour all into one container here. That way I can kind of stir and mix them together. And what I'm gonna do is go ahead and pre-measure out the peppers for each batch. And that is because I wanna know exactly how many batches I'm gonna be making, I'm gonna be able to make, and have everything ready to go to make it very, very easy on myself. So it's about 4 cups of peppers per batch. I don't know how many batches I'm gonna get here. This is not looking like a ton of peppers to me, but let's just, I'll hold my tongue until I know for sure. Do you think we're gonna get 4 batches? I don't know. Doesn't look like it to me. I'm actually gonna use paper plates to measure out each batch, and that is because I just don't want to dirty up 100 more dishes. Go ahead and measure out for each batch 3.5 cups of the bell peppers and then 1/2 cup of the hot peppers, so the jalapeno and serranos. I think I have exactly 4 batches. Oh my gosh. Okay, well I have every batch measured out here. I have 4 batches. So we're gonna get cooking on this next, but first I've got to clean the slate here and get all of this pepper mess out of my way. So I'm gonna set all these to the back, get everything cleaned up here, and I'll get my big pots out. That way we can start making some batches of pepper jelly. I have my recipe here. I always keep it like front and center, that way I'm following the steps exactly for this. You'll also notice that I have this here. This is, if you've ever like observed in my kitchen, I have no vent hood, nothing to, you know, put the smells elsewhere or anything. This comes in handy so many times. A company sent me this and I have absolutely loved it, because sometimes you're just cooking things that are smelly. And I can tell you, the smell of peppers is going to stay in your house for quite a long time. This has a filter. It sucks not only the smells from the air, but it also takes the grease out of the air if you're cooking something like bacon or something like that. So I'm going to be using that here in just a few minutes once this gets cooking. So into each of my pots, I'm going to do 1 batch at a time. I'm not going to double the batches, nothing like that, because that makes it even more difficult for it to gel. So into the pots, I'm going to go one portion of the peppers. So, I mean, these peppers are so pungent. 1 cup per batch, and then we're going to turn the heat up and bring this to a rolling boil. And you can imagine that a bunch of hot and spicy peppers and a bunch of apple cider vinegar is going to have some smells. There goes that. Okay, I already almost messed up. While these are coming to a full boil, I need to have my pectin in there too. I just looked over the recipe one more time and was like, oh, no, should have put the pectin in as well. So I'm going to put 1 package of pectin per batch and mix that in too. Okay, so we'll let this come to a full rolling boil. I'm going to turn my little fan back on while I'm waiting on that. This one is really boiling away. Looks pretty good. So now we're going to add in 5 cups of sugar per batch. So we'll let that come back to a boil. While that happens, I'm going to rinse my dishes off and get my sink cleared. That way I can get my jars in to wash. You can see that this one is really boiling away. This one's not quite there yet, but this one is at a full rolling boil, which is exactly what you want. You want to make sure you go for at least a minute at a full rolling boil, and then we're going to start to test it by putting it on a plate and then putting it in the fridge. So I have a little plate here, a little dish, and I'm just going to use a spoon, take a little bit out of here, and I will put it on the plate. And we're going to put this in the fridge for about 2 minutes and see if it gels or not. If it doesn't, we're not there yet. Okay, so what we can see here is that it didn't quite gel. It's starting to. So now it's been boiling for 2 more minutes, and it may be ready at this point. I'm going to put my spoon and all in there. Okay, so I can see on my spoon here that it is gelling at this point. So we are good as far as thickness. So this one I'm going to push back off the heat, let it sit for just a minute, and then we're going to just skim some of the foam off of the top of that starts to kind of settle on top. I'm just going to pull this pan over here to this one, just so that this one moves a little more quickly as well. And I think we're going to be good. So I'm going to go ahead. I do have to get my jars out and get them ready, but then we will start. We'll watch this one and make sure that it is to a gel temperature too. Turn that heat off there. It's not very spicy, surprisingly. I bet it will get more spicy as it kind of sits, but I'm gonna keep moving here. Okay, you guys, so we got all of the pepper jelly made into jars, and now it's all in the canner. I told myself I wanted to be done with this by 12 o'clock today. It is 11:49, so I have actually made pretty good time, I think. So nearly there now. These just need to water bath can for 10 minutes. I have all of the jars in here. I've got 2 layers with a divider in between. I just use the little bottom part that goes in my pressure canner. It's like that flat metal piece. I put that in between the 2 layers of jars. It works good, especially when you have a lot of half-pint jars, which is really nice to be able to do them all at once. So I think I've pretty much maxed out what I could fit in here, though, 24 jars. So anyway, that recipe, the 4 batches did make exactly 24 jars. Anyway, while this is water bath canning, I thought that I would share with you some of the other things that I like to give for homemade, handmade gifts, that type of thing. So check some of these out. All right, so I wanted to wrap up this video by showing you a few other things that you can really easily make at home to give to your friends, family, whoever it is, coworkers, whatever it is that you have that you just want to give a little something to without, you know, getting too spendy or anything like that. So these are easy things you can make at home and gift anytime, really. Have on hand to gift anytime. So the first one is wood butter. So this is something that I used to make when I did farmers markets, and it has lasted me for a long time. So just a little pot of wood butter, and what this is a board and spoon conditioner. So you know you have all your wood cooking tools and everything, your cutting boards. This is mine that I actually use out of. So I'll show you exactly what I do here. I just take it and it kind of heats up with the warmth of your hands, and you just get a little bit out of there. I'll show you exactly how it works. It works so well. It's all food grade material and everything, and it's all simple ingredients that you can buy really easily and put together. So just in doing that alone, you can see already how it brings back the moisture to this poor, sad wood spoon, because while I try, I don't typically like to put these into the dishwasher, but guess what? Sometimes they go through, and that means they kind of lose their moisture because they get really, really dried out in the dishwasher, obviously. So you, of course, would do the whole wood cooking tool, the board, whatever it is. You just rub on a really good layer of that, and then I like to just kind of let them all sit for a little bit, maybe 30 minutes, an hour, and then I come back once I've put on a pretty good layer of that and saturated the wood, and then I just kind of buff it off with like a microfiber cloth is really what you need. This is the dedicated one for wood butter, so I just use the same one. I throw it right back in the drawer where I keep my wood butter, and then when I go through, I probably do this twice a year. I wish I would do it more, but twice a year is about as good as it's getting. But you can see that it really, really hydrates the wood, and everything looks beautiful when you've done it. So this is a simple one, and I'll show you. I have the recipe for this on my recipe website, brownfamilyrecipes.com, and you'll find a lot of these things there today. But this is the original, the bag that I keep my stuff in. I have some mineral oil here, so I just try to keep everything together for whatever it is. So the recipe is very simple. 30 ounces of coconut oil, 6 ounces of mineral oil. Make sure you're using the food grade, you know, type that you could ingest, odorless, tasteless, colorless, that type of thing. And then 5 ounces of beeswax. So this is like a block of wax. I would recommend getting the little pellets of beeswax, 4 ounces per pot. You certainly don't have to do this size, but this is the size that I like because this lasts, I've probably had my little pot for at least 3 years at this point. And like I said, I just probably twice a year I go through and I do my wood boards and my wood tools and everything. Just do it all at once, but it will last and last. I'm going to share with you also, after I talk to you about all the other little things that I want to talk to you about, how I make the labels for everything that I have here. Since I did the farmer's market for such a long time, I had to make lots of labels for all of the foods that I did, all of the other little items that I did, like this and sourdough starter and things like that. So it's, and the labels even that I did on the pepper jelly for the video today. So I'll show you exactly how I make those, and it could not be simpler. I just want to show you in case you're ever interested in having something that is a little bit more festive for a holiday label, a little bit more professional, I guess, if you will. But the next one is super simple, and that is vanilla extract. This bottle you can see I did in 2023. I had probably 3 that were this size. I'm down to my last one that's this size. And this bottle here, I have extra beans in. So these are basically the spent beans that I have left over. So obviously you will not be able to gift vanilla extract this year, but it is a good time if you are thinking about doing it to do it for next year or just for yourself. It couldn't be easier because all you do is take a really high proof alcohol, either 80 or 90 proof or above, and put it in with some vanilla beans. So probably I have in this jar here about 15 or 20 beans. You can easily order those on Amazon. They're not very expensive at all. All you do is just split the bean, put it into the alcohol, and let it sit. It probably needs to sit for at least 6 months. So like I said, not giftable for this year, but definitely good for next year if you go ahead and get it started. And then at this time of year at Sam's Club, Costco, all of those type of stores, they're running a lot of sales on their alcohols. So it might be a good time to grab something for that. So you can either use vodka, dark rum, light rum if you preferred. You really don't taste the alcohol at all when you put it into a baking recipe or whatever recipe you're putting it in. You just taste the vanilla. And the longer it sits, the better it gets. So for gifting, I use these little brown amber color bottles. So obviously they have little screw-on tops, and I just would put in the vanilla extract that I had, brewed or whatever for at least 6 months or so. And I would put in probably 2 beans. Now, sometimes the beans are longer, you have to cut them to put in here, but I put a couple of beans in with each one as well, just so that the flavor continues to extract in the little bottle here. So these are super simple to make. And then once you label them up, they're just adorable, and people love having homemade vanilla extract. So that is a really good and easy, couldn't be easier gift option there. Now for the third option, if you are a sourdough baker, a great gift for people who are interested in getting started with sourdough, or that they're kind of curious about sourdough, is Dehydrated sourdough starter. This is very easy to make as well. Obviously you have the starter if you are a sourdough person. And so all I do with this is use my dehydrator, it's an electronic one. I just spread onto the tray lined with a sheet of parchment paper, 1/2 cup per tray. So then you're spreading it out very, very thinly on that parchment paper. No worries, it's gonna come off once it's dried. You don't have to worry about that. But I spread it onto there, and then I put it on the lowest setting. For me, I think that is 95 degrees. You would never want to go above 110 degrees, I think, or you would kill the culture in here. But the culture stays alive if you keep it at a nice low temperature around 95 degrees. And it just dries in the dehydrator for 8 to 12 hours. You'll be able to kind of break it apart, and you'll see that it's dry and crumbly. So once it's dry on the parchment paper, I just break it into some bits and put it into the food processor to pulverize it down into this powder form. And when you gift this, you can put a little sticker on here. I'm going to link to all of the little packaging for these things too. In the description box below, you'll find the links for these. Almost everything that I use for this is from Amazon, just because that's the most comprehensive place to buy this type of stuff. You may be able to find this stuff local to you, but if you're trying to make a big batch of gifts, it's a lot easier sometimes to just order what you need and get it all at once. So I'll link to all of the packaging and things below. For the dehydrated starter, you just want to give with that a sheet of instructions about how to rehydrate this. If somebody was wanting to do a sourdough starter, it may take 7 to 14 days to get that sourdough starter up and going where you can actually bake with it. And so this really shortens the time period that it takes to get to that point. In the dehydrated form, it takes about 3 or 4 days until you're baking bread. So it really shortens the time period because you're basically inoculating whatever you put this powder into with the sourdough culture, the yeast essentially. So it goes a lot faster than making a sourdough starter from scratch. So now we'll move on to a food option, and that is these glazed pecans. So I love these glazed pecans. I probably made them 4 or 5 times in the past month because we have just been enjoying them so much. They're a great just snack option. They say they stay really good and fresh on the counter for at least a week. So, and also they're not sticky at all. I have tried to make like candied pecans and candied walnuts and things like that in the past. This recipe is a winner though. Put them out in a bowl if you're having a party or something. They're a great thing for people to just munch on, of course. Another way is on a salad, as a salad topper. Just kind of crunch them up, bust them up, and throw them on top of any salad, and they're so delicious that way. You could also include them in a Christmas gift box if you're doing some cookies and candies and things like that. This glazed nut would be perfect on there. So the recipe for the glazed pecans as well is on my recipe website, brownfamilyrecipes.com. Now the last thing is the key to making everything look professional and cohesive, if that is what you want to do, and that is some labels. I have two different options here. These are the ones that were always my go-to. I love this craft brown color. This is the actual size of the label here, 2.5 inches, this one here. So you can print at home all of these things, and you just do that right from the Avery website. I'm going to show you here on the screen how you can scroll through there. They have excellent options on there. So you can either use their templates that they already have made for holiday labels and different types of things. There are hundreds and hundreds of options, or you can make your own. So it totally depends on what you're going for. If you want to make it for your business, if you want to make it for personal and just say, you know, grandma's homemade vanilla, or whatever you want to put on there, you can put. So they turn out so cute every time. As you saw with the pepper jelly, I had a holiday theme one and I just put pepper jelly on there. That holiday theme label was already a template on there. All you need to do is put in the little number of their label. This one is 22846. You just put that into the search bar and it'll pull up all the options that are specific to this type of label and size. That way it prints properly when you go to print it out, and then you can personalize it right from their website. It is so easy and free. Let me know in the comments below if you have enjoyed this video, if there's any of these that you're going to try, or making the labels for anything that you're giving away to your friends and family this year. Hey, I really appreciate you being here. I hope that if you like this video, you'll give it a thumbs up. If you see the hype option right above the comments, I hope that you will hype this video as well. That's just another way of telling YouTube that, hey, people like this, other people should see it. So if you see that, go ahead and hype the video as well. It costs you nothing, of course, other than a little click. I do appreciate you being here today, and I hope to see you back here again real soon.